the first Channel Action 13 News from 20 years ago. The first film that I had a speaking role in.
You were great in it. I was like, wow, Sue is really good in this film.
Well, I've improved since then, I hope.
Of course.
Look who we're hanging with.
That would be me.
Look who we're hanging with.
Jason David Frank.
Boom shakalaka.
Please do not change channel.
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin' With Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter. Thank you so much for logging on, tuning in, subscribing. If you haven't done that yet, please do. Join the little notification squad that we've got growing here. Get notified whenever we have a new artist, author, filmmaker, comic creator, actress, actor, creative minds of all kinds. We've got them on the Hangin' With Web Show. We are back at the Melbourne Independent Filmmaker Festival here in Melbourne, Florida, and we're hanging out with Filmmaker, Hangin' With Web Show alumnus, and the creator this year of Ask God, Sue Dontell. Sue, thank you very much. She does tell, by the way. She told us a lot last year. She's going to tell us a lot this year. See? Sue, how are you?
Tired.
Tired. We know you've been very busy.
Yes.
Very busy.
Yes.
Let's start with Ask God. What's the fundamental tenet of the
Well, the fundamental story is that a young boy is in church with his dad, and his dad has an attack and dies, and he loses his faith in God. He turns to drugs, and then he goes through rehab, and it's his story of how he comes full circle.
Wow.
And the kid that plays the part of the main character, he has like really long hair, really bushy, as you can see from the picture. And then at the end, as he reforms, he cuts his hair short like yours and totally shaven. I didn't even recognize the kid. And not only did he change physically, he changed his persona as a character changed. So it was fantastic. A really cool journey to take.
It is the best films, the best stories are the ones where we can watch our hero, our main character, as they become.
As they develop, yeah.
And they develop into something new and someone new. And it sounds like your actor and your character went all the way to really try to show that on screen. We talked a little bit about this. It was a moment coming up last year when you were getting ready for this. Let's talk about some of the challenges that you faced putting this film together. You've been a filmmaker for a long time. Yes. We happened to catch Sue's acting debut in was it
Action News
13. We caught that on Thursday night here at the MIF.
That played at the very first MIF 20 years ago, and I have been at every single MIF for 20 years.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. And every year in something, or now bringing something as a filmmaker yourself. What were some of the challenges with Ask God that you faced getting things together?
Well, working with the actors, because this was a new actor, and he didn't have a lot of experience, so I worked with him a lot. And then just arranging everything.
Now, we happened to catch you at Brevard Film and Talent just a couple weeks ago, talking about
screenplay writing,
how to overcome those challenges. Whether you're a writer and you're writing screenplays, if you're on camera, you gave some great tips for setting shots and what kinds of shots are in a film. That's from your 20 years of experience now. When you talk to a young filmmaker, what's some of the first tips that you like to give them on their new craft?
Well, I like them to learn the basics. Framing, headroom, nose room, the 180 rule, the rule of thirds, those sort of things that you need to basically start filmmaking that a lot of people don't get. And of course, with any film, you have to have a story. And a lot of people don't understand story structure, plot development, character development, and those sort of things. So my advice to them, because a film is more than just a cute idea, or a one-line joke. you have to have a beginning, a middle, and end. There has to be a problem to be solved. And this is the point I try to get across to people. If you don't know how to write a good screenplay, find somebody that does.
We do this with our writers oftentimes, especially our first-time writers. We do some seminars and things where we have to sit and tell them, you know, here are the 5 basic points of a story. Make sure that all 5 exist.
Right.
Are they always going to be great? No, but they have to tie together.
Right.
And when you're doing it visually, it's such an imperative that you have a good story underneath.
Exactly.
Because let's face it, the first time we hold a camera sometimes, not the best. So if there's no story, then you really, you know, you've set a challenge for yourself.
And you have to have good actors too. And I mean, you don't have to have a Hollywood star to have a good actor. There's a lot of good actors locally, but it's all in knowing how to find them and how to audition them and how to get the best out of them. It's
as a
more
director,
than
that's one of the things that you have to do every day is you have to get an actor to understand the story, to let it come out of them. Because eventually they're the ones that are going to bring your character to life.
Right.
And
a good actor can kind of help a bad story, but a bad actor can ruin a good story. And you know,
you said that the other night, and it's been ringing in my ears ever since. It really has, because it's true. You could take an amazing, phenomenal story, and if the actor doesn't feel that character come alive, if that's not there, then it's out of place the whole time. And no matter how good your shots are or your cuts are, at the end of the day, it really, filmmaking is a collaboration, and the actor is a huge part of that.
Right.
And then you're an actress yourself. Did you do a part in Ask God?
I did. I played the mother in Ask God. I always try to put my, you know, like a painter that paints himself into the
little corner of
I try to put myself in there somewhere. As you've developed as a filmmaker over the years, do those parts for you kind of get smaller and smaller while you're behind the camera, because you're doing a lot? Yeah. Well, it depends. It depends upon the
film. I saw your book, your planning book. So you're doing a lot of stuff.
A lot of pre-planning, and that's why I try to, because a lot of people, you know, especially independent filmmakers that are new, they just shoot from the hip. I spend months pre-planning. I'm getting ready to film a film on teenage suicide. And I have been planning it for like 6 months, doing all my breakdowns, you know, doing my auditions, getting really good actors. So it takes a lot of time to do it right.
Now I have a question for you. You do a lot of films that touch on some really, really difficult issues.
Yes.
Have you chosen that as something that you enjoy doing, or is it something that really just calls to you?
I think it picked me.
It picked you?
Yes. It's just like the next one after that is about cops, you know, and because a lot of people don't perceive cops as people, and I want to show them as people. Yeah. You know, with families and people who love them, and the
stresses and the things that apply to their everyday
so
lives.
that's the next one down the line. Is like they keep coming to me.
She don't play. She gets right in there. And every time when we talked to you last year too, the films that you were doing, you have a lot of fun as a filmmaker, but you attack some issues head on that oftentimes artists, and particularly now mainstream artists, are what we consider the stars, you know, those places, they're really reticent to talk about those issues. And in the indie community, and particularly with the films that you're doing, you're not. You'll dive right into it, whether it's about faith and religion or whether it's about cops, or, I mean, you just dive right into these issues head on. Right.
Well, with the suicide thing, one of my best friends, a former roommate, did commit suicide. And I learned a lot about it. And it's an issue that is kind of kept in the closet. It's not talked about so that people understand what causes suicidal depression. And I want to bring that out of the closet. I want to educate people and hopefully save a life.
And it has been something that has been hidden under the surface for a very long time, and to the point where when it comes out, it makes headlines. People, when they introduced the film adaptation of 13 Reasons Why last year, the internet went crazy with whether or not they were, it was too much, if they were actually going to be pushing the instead of helping. But really, we have to talk about these things. Right. And it is the artist, and I tell everybody on YouTube every show, it's at the end of the day, when there's new laws and there's new things, everybody goes and then we pat our lawmakers on the back and we pat our public servants on the back. But these ideas, these conversations, it's the artists that start them. If you want to see change in your community, start here with an artist telling you a story that you can be entertained by and informed by.
Right.
And then
and that's what this story does. The one I'm getting ready to do in a couple of weeks. It's a character-driven story whereby teens live vicariously through the teen actor, but it's peppered with facts. So you're not knocking people over the head, but you're educating them in a story.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a cool little story. And the thing is that, you know, there are more suicides than homicides in the United States, and it's the number 2 cause of death in teens.
wow.
And there's a reason for it.
It's an issue that's really close to our heart here on the Hangin With Web Show. I'm a veteran, and sadly, my peer group has one of the 2 highest suicide rates currently right now. We lose 22 brothers a day, and it's a sad, sad number.
It is.
And it's 1 is a sad number. 22 is unacceptable. And I think next to us is our teens. You know, teens who they're learning how to cope for the first time. They're learning how to deal with adult emotions and adult feelings for the first time, and they get lost in it.
Well, it's more than that. Teenagers, the prefrontal cortex of the teen brain isn't fully developed until they're in their mid-20s, and that's the portion of the brain responsible for serotonin production. And serotonin is responsible for things like mood and decision making and, you know, all those sort of
things that will eventually allow us to make adult decisions.
Right.
And if you don't have that, and you don't have guidance, or you don't feel the guidance, because oftentimes we know that our teens, they have the guidance, they're just not feeling that connection. If you don't have that, and you don't have the chemicals in your system that you need, you can't do it on your own. Guys, Sue Dontell, a filmmaker here, 20 years of filmmaking, 20 years at the Melbourne Independent Filmmakers Festival. We've been talking about Ask God, and the next one, do you have the working title yet?
Yes, I do. And my brain just went blank.
And we're going to know it later, and we're going to put it in the description down below. Can we look for Ask God, or are you going to be making a commercial? Are these going to go commercial at one point, Amazon or something streaming? Or
right now it's going to film festivals.
Going to festivals, okay.
And then we'll see where it goes.
Then we'll see where it goes. Keep an eye on the internet, ladies and gentlemen, for Sue Dontell's Ask God and other films. Wish you could have seen Action News 13. We did. We're going to say thank you to our partners and our friends at Embellish Effects in Orlando, Florida, Pound the Grape here in Melbourne, Florida, Off the Chain Radio with author Yvonne Mason, Famous Faces and Funnies, our great friend Rick Shea and his team down there. They've got everything you need to celebrate your favorite geekdom. Space Coast Comics with Jake Estrada and David Grace, and our good friends at Something Unique Magazine, F. Kenneth Taylor, KG Bethlehem, and the whole crew who have been supporting us since day one. Remember, everybody, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next.
And the name of it is A Fork in the Road.